Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll do the roll call. So, Mr. Jones, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand with us.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Bridget's going to go ahead and do roll call.
White,
Here.
Mr. Jones,
here.
Ms. Lima. Here. Mr. Levinson. Here. Dr. Schultes. Here.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second it. Okay, Ms. Heights,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Lima.
Yes.
Mr. Levinson,
Yes.
Dr. Schultes.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to read the resolution to approve the superintendent contract, and then we can call for a motion in a second. So whereas by Resolution 20/21, 56 dated March 3rd, 2021, the Board of Education selected Dr. Brian Hill as the district's next superintendent of schools and directed that a contract with Dr. Hill be negotiated and brought back to the board for approval. And whereas the attached employment contract dated with today's date has been negotiated with Dr. Hill to secure his services as the district superintendent of schools for a 3-year term beginning July 1st, 2022, which term may be extended for 1 additional years, and whereas Dr. Hill has indicated his willingness to enter into an employment contract with the board for such a term in the form attached hereto. And whereas the terms of said employment contract are acceptable to the board. Now, therefore resolved that the Board of Education of Mesa County Valley School District Number 51 shall employ Dr. Brian Hill as the superintendent of schools for the district commencing July 1st, 2022, under the terms of employment contract attached hereto, and authorizes and directs the board president and secretary to execute said employment contract on behalf of the board upon execution of same by Dr. Hill. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we'll call the vote. Oh, I'm sorry, discussion? Go ahead, Dr. Levin. I'm going to call everybody doctor, I'm sorry.
I tell you, it's an easy way to get your.
It's like that, which movie is it? It's one of those, is it Dan Aykroyd? Everybody calls doctor, what? Spies Like Us, yes, every time, doctor, I'm sorry.
And we
A
have.
levity here. Go ahead, Mr. Levinson.
All right. I have a statement I'd like to read from Dr. Schultes and myself regarding the resolution today. We concur with the current resolution because Dr. Hill is the qualified person to assume the superintendent role. We need to move the district forward with his leadership. While we concur with the vote, which we're about to take, to move forward with Dr. Hill, the new contract with this new board has penalized Dr. Hill. He took a salary cut with this new board. His new salary is 36% below the average superintendent's salary on a per pupil basis for our 10 comparable districts in terms of size and location. The current board also reduced a penalty provision if the board sought to terminate him without cause. While this board has presently not sought to terminate Dr. Hill, it did negotiate his contract downward. As a district, we want to attract and retain skilled professionals. For 2021, prior to teacher raises, teachers made approximately, in our system, 12% below the average salary for our 10 comparable districts. We want to be more competitive across the board. We want our excellent employees to know they are valued and we have to work hard to communicate this with our words and our actions. We want to clearly communicate to Dr. Hill and D51 that Dr. Hill is valued, that our teachers and staff are valued, that we need consistent leadership and workforce in District 51 with fair and competitive salaries for the years to come. Dr. Schultes and I commend Dr. Hill for wanting to assume the superintendent role without causing further distractions. His goal is to produce a positive future moving forward, steering this ship. We thank him and we support him. Thank you.
So I don't believe he took that much of a pay cut after we looked at it. So I'm not exactly sure where you guys are getting your number, because he's going to get the raise after the base salary.
So that's not the percent cut that he took, that's just relative. It already would have been a lower salary relative to other superintendents. So it's just, if you compare the salaries for the comparable districts, and we have these comparable 10 comparable districts. We look at them for a variety of metrics in terms of academic performance and our other administrative decision-making. So if you look at all of their salaries, and some of them are really high and some of them are low, and so if you kind of have to I normalized them by the number of students that they had. So if you look at that average for our 10 comparable districts, normalizing by the number of students, Dr. Hill's contract is 36% below the average.
So did you look at those schools? Denver Public Schools, Jeffco County, Cherry Creek?
No, those are not in our comparable district. No,
The numbers that were sent to us in an email were comparable for first time.
Oh, yeah, so the average of those was 204, was about 12% higher than his salary.
Okay.
Right, I just want to clarify that the statement that's made, which honestly I'm a little, I'm really kind of taken aback by it, because we get into the session, we find out that there's issues in executive session upon, again, things being conflated, that we were wanting to, fire, everyone. And I felt like the board, we came together, and without a solidified amount put in the contract, it was something that we were going to have to come back and talk about as a board. And so I just feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Levinson, but it makes it sound like we wanted to penalize Dr. Hill when we were all going to have to figure out a amount that was going to be acceptable for the board and district. And we have agreed for, and I mean, if I would think if it was not acceptable, then we wouldn't have come to terms on the contract. And so now, this is frustrating, because we had great conversation, and now I feel like you two are now pitting yourselves against something that the three of us had done. I mean, it just, I don't understand, and the way that comes across makes it sound like you two had an idea and then us three didn't, and we all saw the same information. And so I guess if I'm interpreting that wrong, then please clarify. But that is a bit disheartening, I guess, hearing that today.
I guess where I'm coming from is I'm disheartened by those statistics, and I think we all should be as a community, as a district, not only specific to Dr. Hill's salary, but our teacher salary and across the board. When we went into, without going over the 7-8 hours we were in executive session, you're absolutely right. The direction was for our council to just have a starting point number. And which the message also was in the spirit of of the contract that he currently had that was valid and binding. And I think the community needs to understand Dr. Hill made major concessions to accept this new contract, and that's on him. I mean, he wants to do it, that's fine. We want to acknowledge that, though, that it was a significant cut from what he would have been making under the contract that he had a valid contract with. And so it's not trying to point fingers as much as it is to let the public know these are numbers that we're not making up. This is where we are as a system. And if we want to continue to attract the likes of a Dr. Hill and the staff he's trying to put together and teachers and support staff, then as a system in the community, we have to realize that to keep folks, we need to fairly and competitively compensate them like other districts are doing. And so the 10 districts are the districts we're currently using in comparison for other, how we're structuring salary for other employees in our system. So that.
Yes, but we're also responsible as a board to make sure that we're being fiduciaries of the district's budget.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I would love to pay our teachers way more than they're getting paid right now. Is it feasible? Well, I'm hoping that while we're on the board, we can look at those things and figure out ways to compensate our teachers more. But at the same time, I mean, unlike the government, I can't just go print money and give it out to people. I mean, we have to make sure that we are being responsible. And so I would love, and I don't think there's any reflection, I mean, it's not to say that we don't feel somebody's not worth something. There's also only so much money that we have to work with. So I guess the statement just sounded, again, like a 2 against 3, and I really thought we were making strides to really kind of unify as a board, because it was unbeknownst to us when we walked into those executive session that there were some things that needed to just be clarified and addressed, which is what then we had to ensue upon doing. And I don't know, I guess I just...
Well, and I don't want to speak for Dr. Schultes, but I've been clear from the get-go and beyond that the contract that was in question was always valid, is still valid to right now, and that we negotiated with him as a board downward, and I think that's accurate. What is in this contract is not what was in the spirit of what we had agreed to with him last year.
So I think that what it comes down to really is we had an issue with the contract. We went with, to Dr. Hill about it. We went to negotiations, which is exactly what it was negotiations. So at that point, if Dr. Hill wasn't okay with it, he could have said, no, I'm not okay with that. But he wants to be here so bad, wants to help our district, that he accepted that. So that's a term that he accepted, and I get it. The same as if I did something that said yes or no, that's on me. But I applaud him. The same as when Ms. Circle came, you told us yourself. You guys offered her more money, and she said, no, I don't want that. This is where I want to start. So there's a starting point for him. He's going to do great work for us. We want him here, so why can't we just go along with that? That's what it's all about. He's here. We want him here. If we didn't want him here, we would have voted no. We would have said, okay, I'm not doing this. So negotiations is what it is. It's negotiations. So he accepted it. His lawyer accepted it. We just need to, agree with the terms and move on. Whether you feel it's good or bad, apparently he thought it was a good starting point. I mean, so if it's...
And again, I'm not representing Dr. Hill in his contract negotiations. I'm saying as a system that, again, I'm not going to get into... I wasn't part of those negotiations between Mr. Price and his attorney and Dr. Hill. I can just tell you from the perspective of a board member on this board and the previous board, our goal has been, should always be to attract top talent, pay competitive prices, not over the top salaries, but competitive. And when I see that we're 36% below the average, that to me is not
Okay,
competitive.
so I'm going to throw in here, the average of what?
The average of districts that we compare ourselves to.
Okay, so
currently.
a straight average, or how about an average on experience? Because some of those superintendents have been superintendents since 2009. and some of them are new. And those that have been superintendents for a long period of time obviously had a higher salary. So I don't think we're comparing apples to apples here. My issue with it is I didn't know anything about, it comes off as you guys have an opinion about what people are worth, and we're on the opposite side of it, because we didn't even get an opportunity to throw in and say we agreed with any of that. I never heard anything. And this idea that the lawyers don't know what they're talking about, I find it hard to believe that Dr. Hill's lawyer would have said, yeah, go ahead and negotiate a lower salary in this new contract if the other contract didn't have issues. And by the way, that contract was never taken care of and properly approved by the board.
No, that's not true.
That's the truth as far as any of us have been told. So if you've heard different information beyond what we've all shared here together, I think that's something that should have been brought up to all of us
You brought up
beforehand.
something early. This is a statement of belief that we have. It doesn't mean you have to believe it, doesn't mean anybody else in the world has to believe it, doesn't mean Dr. Hill has to believe it. This is a point that we're sharing with you all in the community on the numbers we've gathered. And just to let everyone know, he's made significant concessions to sign this contract because he wants to be here now. I hope in going forward, a year from now, 2 years from now, he still wants to be here. And we're offering him and our staff competitive salaries to make that happen.
I agree completely, Doug.
We're on the
My
same
point
page.
is, as a board, I'm not sure how you would feel if the three of us or two of us got together and made that kind of a statement, without even saying, hey, what do you think about this? That's the part I'm upset about. I'm fantastic. I feel great about Dr. Hill being here. I think we did some good work making sure that contracts are good for the district as well. And I believe that this contract is better for the district as a whole. That's my belief.
There you go.
Again, Dr. Hill, we negotiated this from where we had to start with a new contract. That's fantastic. I think everybody's happy about that. I'm just very disappointed that that statement is read, and this is the first I'm hearing about it.
Oh,
I might have wanted to add my name to that.
well, you still can. And I don't think anything here is, I can't speak for Dr. Schultes, but I've been very clear from the beginning what I felt about the contract and the path we were going and the direction I believed didn't happen. We were giving our counsel, David Price, to follow in the spirit of the preceding contract. I don't think that was done, but we are where we are. We have a contract today that Dr. Hill has agreed to sign. I said here that we concur with the contract, have no problem with signing this because that's what he wants, but I think it's important that our community, again, I hate to be redundant, but I'm going to be, that they understand what he's done, what we have facing us as a board, this board and future boards, to bring our district to be competitive. Just like we are with our academics. We always, in my tenure as a principal and beyond, we celebrate that we're near average in our performance. And we should be better than that and looking to be better than average. And to find we're 36 percentage points below average with our top administrative leader, and that our teachers are more than 10% below that average isn't something we should be even celebrating. It should be a concern to all of us moving forward. And that's what this statement is about. It's the broader picture, not about his contract specifically, but the broader picture as a system, as a board, we need to commit to that we're going to see it as we move forward, and we're getting, Dr. Hill is next year and the year after, that we can keep him and the staff he's trying to bring on board. I know he's been doing interviews for assistants and all those positions. We want to attract the best talent we can for our system. That's it. And that we have different opinions. President Heights and I were just talking. It's a good thing for our community to see. We differ in our opinions. We've had respectful conversations. I want to continue to do that. I believe we're doing that now. We can disagree and have different opinions. One thing we all agreement, right at this presently, is that Dr. Hill is the person we all agree, the five of us, we want as our leader going forward. And I just hope that continues. And I've been monopolizing time. Forgive me, Dr. Schultes, you were part of the author of this too, but it was one, we just want to make that statement. So it's not any more than what it says.
Right, and I think it's,
add to
I
that?
think it's clear, I think it needs to be made clear that there is a differing of opinion, that some thought the previous contract was valid, and then based on a different legal advice, it wasn't. So because there was two differing opinions, again, I feel like we really did honor the spirit of it. The things that actually were not initially, in a sense, left out, got put back in, and that was just a matter of starting with a initial framework, and those things all were put back in. And so I feel that we honored the spirit, and again, the amount we were going to have to discuss as a board, regardless of anything, and I think we have to be accountable to our community to justify the salary we would like to give. Like I said, I'd love to pay everybody a lot more, and we just also have to make sure that we are being good fiduciaries for the district. So, Dr.
Exactly.
Schultes, did you want to share?
No, I think it's all been said.
Okay.
And
Any-
I want to thank Dr. Hill. You went through a lot, and I'm sure it's a frustrating thing for you, and, very, very time-consuming and nerve-wracking, and, for you to go through and look through these things, and the willingness to come back and negotiate a new contract is just very commendable, so I thank you for it. So,
I think the one thing we can all agree on, and I think that we're looking forward to, is that we never once doubted that we wanted to work with Dr. Hill. We never did. That was something that we always wanted to do. We also, there was a previous resolution last year, as we had stated after we came out of our last executive session, and that resolution directed the board at the time to validate and vote on the contract in public, and that's what we wanted to do. And so that is what we're doing tonight, and so I'm glad that we're able to move forward with this. So if there's no further discussion, let's go ahead and call the vote.
Okay, Mrs. Heights?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
yes.
Ms. Lima?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Dr. Schultes?
Yes.
All right, can I have a motion to adjourn? Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, sorry, before we, hold on.
Speech.
Yeah,
I
Dr. Hill
prepared
would like
something,
to.
but I don't think it's going to be as back and forth as this was, so.
Thank you.
So when I was hired to be the superintendent this spring, I didn't actually get a chance to share my thoughts about the opportunity at the time. So I wanted to say a few things that I jotted down today, and I wrote it down so I wouldn't lose track. I first want to start from a place of gratitude. I want to start with some thank yous. I'm going to start by thanking my beautiful wife and son, because they support me and my busy work schedule that more often than not keeps me from being home. So appreciate them. I want to thank the great team of D51 teachers, staff, admin, and central office staff who put in the work each and every day to support our D51 students. I want to thank this great community made up of parents and guardians and different community stakeholders for welcoming me in 2.5 years ago, even though I'm from Texas. Yeah, Texans can be hard to accept, so. I want to thank the previous school board for hiring me and trusting me to continue to lead this district, and I want to thank the current board for trusting me to lead the district into the future as well. When I moved here from Texas in 2019 to take the role of assistant superintendent, I did it because I felt like it would be a great opportunity to help support and lead a district that was primed for growth and success. And while we've made a lot of progress as a district over the past 2.5 years, most of that time in the middle of a pandemic, I know that we still have much work to do, and honestly, that excites me. It excites me because that's why we do what we do as educators. It's not about position or pay, accolades or accomplishments. It's about kids. It's about seeing kids thrive and become successful as we prepare them for college, career, and life. and our job as educators is to remove barriers to success for all students. I'm excited to work with this board as a team of 6 to remove those barriers for our students, staff, and families so that we end up with the best school district in the state, and so that every student who walks through our doors has their own doors open for them to opportunities that they never thought possible. I get a lot of emails from family, staff, and community members, and when I email them back, I often thank them for being a part of the, quote, D51 family. I'm intentional in calling it the D51 family because that's what we are. We are a family, a very large family, and families don't always agree on everything, but at the end of the day, they work together to make sure that every member of the family is successful, safe, and supported. That's what I want for our D51 family, and I know that's what this board wants as well. Despite differing opinions, beliefs, and outlooks on things, we all want what is best for our students and our D51 family, and that's our common ground. Over the past year, I've been fortunate to be a part of a superintendent academy made up of new and aspiring superintendents from across the state of Colorado. One of the first activities they had us do was to come up with a list of core values for ourselves, values that had to be validated by people who know us best, values that will help guide my actions and inform how I, quote, show up as a leader for the students, staff, and community I serve. And I want to share those core values with you today. They are, first and foremost, all means all, meaning every kid has access to opportunities in our district. Next, I strive to put kids first in every decision that I make as a leader. I try to practice empathetic servant leadership every day in my job. I try to leverage my position of influence to remove barriers to student and staff success. I believe that every perspective brings value. And lastly, I believe in collaboration over confrontation. As we work together as a team of 6 to support our D51 family, I look forward to learning more about the core values of each of the individual members of this board. And as a team of 6, I look forward to establishing our collective core values that we will use to guide our decisions and guide this district moving forward. In doing so, we'll be able to achieve our recently adopted strategic plan goals of having prepared and supported students, prepared and supported staff, and engaged and supportive community partners. Thank you again to this board, to this community for entrusting me with the honor and duty of leading this district into the future. And I'll end by saying that we've got work to do, so let's do this work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. Yep. Right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Leave.
Okay, and I'll take the vote. Mrs. Heights?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Lima?
Yes.
Mr. Levinson?
Yes.
Dr. Schultes?
Yes.
Okay, and with the meeting over, if you guys could stay just a minute, we need to go through the calendar to reschedule those trainings.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.